Today, I'm back with yet another solo episode. It's going to be about everyone's favorite topic manifestation, vision boards, and all of that stuff. I've always been that person. Like, if I wanted something, I'm going to get it. I never had a doubt. If you want something, you can't come from a place of lack. Are you coming from a place of proving something to someone? Or are you coming from a place of doing something for your own self? Few things that I asked for that came true. Now, when I think about it, I was like, this manifestation thing is bullshit. Like, I don't believe in it anymore. Sometimes I feel like God tests you also. Like, do you trust me that you will get it? Something that is good for you will always feel great. Something that is not good for you will come with fear. It's not your job to think when something is going to manifest for you. That's me talking to myself, saying that's not me as a person who fears and who, if I have a fear about something, then I'm like, that's not your true wish. It's very important that you also be okay with it, that if it does not come, once you've asked for something, think of it as buying a ticket. If you ask for what you want, you might get it. But what if God has something bigger, greater for you? Like for the past few years, I became like a little fearful that I don't have a doubt that if I ask God for something, He will not give me. But my fear is, what if He does? Like, what if He actually gives it to me? If you are thinking of making a vision board, I would highly, highly request you. Okay, chalo. Hi, guys, this is Shruti. Welcome to my podcast. I'm just curious. Today, I'm back with yet another solo episode. And as you can see from the title of the video, that it's going to be about everyone's favorite topic manifestation, vision boards, and all of that stuff. So, I'm just going to give my insight and how I look at it and what I think of it and what my experience has been with it. So I feel like it's uh, only apt to start from the beginning, where I think I was in college, like studying pharmacy, when I think two of my friends they recommended me this book called The Secret, because I would talk to them and they're like, you should read Secret, you should read Secret. And at this point now I was tired of like hearing like two people constantly tell me that. And so I was like, okay, fine, maybe I'll get this book and I'll read it. And even before that, I think one of my cousin's sister had shown me a documentary of The Secret before I think the book came out. I think the documentary came out first. So she showed me this documentary and I was watching it, and it was fine, it was great. And I didn't think much of it. I didn't like keep it in my memory or anything. But then these two friends, like, or acquaintances, they would constantly tell me to read this book and buy this book and read this book. And so I did. I was like, okay, if these two people are like so keen and so like telling me, trying to convince me or trying to tell me that I should, then maybe I should. Like, I should give in and I should. So I finally got the book and I started reading it. And it felt like, okay, I got back to the same. I was reminded of the documentary, like I said, also because I'd watched the documentary. And I was reading it, and slowly, 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 I was like, okay, yeah, this is fine, this is good. And it didn't feel anything new to me, to be very honest, because even while watching the documentary, I'd felt it, but not that much. But I think while reading the book, I would feel that I have already, you know, doing all those things that are written and mentioned in the book, that to visualize and not to not to doubt and all of that stuff. And so I felt like I didn't feel like, oh, this is something new to me. I felt like, oh, this feels familiar. I've already like been using this without even knowing that, oh, that it's this strategy manifestation or whatever. I was just naturally that way, doing things that way. I also feel like before reading the book, because I was not too conscious about these things that manifest, I feel like nowadays people are so conscious that, oh, it's manifestation, we should do this, we should do that, and everything. I think before the book came out, before I'd watched the documentary, this was not too much of a hype. So, and I used to, like I said, I used to be that way anyway. Like I used to live that way anyway. So I didn't find it anything new or anything, like that. But the only difference that I feel like from now to then is like now after knowing that, oh, okay, all that I used to like naturally do is now a strategy that's being taught to people and all of that. So now I find myself not being able to, like, get into that zone or something, because out of, like, it feels a kind of a pressure sometimes, because there's so much that's been talked about online that people are constantly talking about, that it's become like this thing that, you don't want to, like, you want to be like, okay, fine, yeah, I know that exists, yeah, whatever. So that's again one of the sides of social media, that some things are so out there that you get fatigued listening to that term constantly, and everyone has something to say, but most of them are saying the same thing because, yeah, I mean, it works because of the same things. Now I'll tell you, like, some of the things that I have learned, during this journey, that like, people can call it manifestation or anything. um I never think of it as particular term, like I said, because I used to do it since before the everything became like a hype. But I'll tell you, like, my story, my journey of, using this principle or guidance. I remember, if any time I wanted something, I would believe, like, there would be this. I've always been that person. Like, if I wanted something, I'm going to get it. I never had a doubt. Ki, if I ask for something, if I want something, then I'm not going to get it. I would never have that fear. I would never have that doubt in me. Never, ever. Since I was a child, like, I knew it. If I wanted something, if I asked for something, I'm going to get it. Like I said, naturally, I never had that doubt that I will not get it. So I would consciously feel like I already had it, which is one of the biggest principles of manifestation that people talk about online so much. That if you want something, you can't come from a place of lack. You have to already feel like you have it. And I used to feel like that. Very naturally, it used to come to me that I would feel that way. That, yeah, I do have it only, like, it's not a big deal, like, it's fine. I used to always also know and understand that it's only a matter of time when I actually, like, physically experience it, but I have it. That's it. There's no other debate, there's no other talk about it. I have it. Um and so that's how I was. And so because I had that mindset, I would always have these things happening for me, like everything. Right from when I was studying pharmacy, I first got admission in one of the colleges where I was not liking the college, and I was like, I was also maybe not clear about what I want to do, but that college was also not helping. It was in the outskirts of a town and everything, and it felt very secluded, and yeah, all of that stuff. So I was miserable for that 1 year, and I would always, like, visualize me going to another college in a city which is, like, more into the city and not in a outskirts secluded area, and meeting new people. And I also always wanted to live alone once in my life. And I was like, wow, it would be so much fun. And like I said, all these things, like, since I was a child, I always wanted to live alone. And I never thought that, oh, but how it's going to happen? Maybe it's not going to happen. You know, I never thought about it that way. But I also, when I was thinking of, wanting to change my college, I was not thinking that, oh, I'm going to stay alone and this and that. There was no strategy, there was no, like, planning, nothing. Okay. But, but I knew that, whatever, like, I wanted will come my way sooner or later. So I never, like, sat thinking when it's going to come, when it's going to happen, when am I going to stay alone, how is it going to happen. No, nothing. If any time I find myself doing that, that's when I'm like, that's not the energy you want to be in, and that's not you. Like, that's, like, that's me talking to myself, saying that that's not me as a person who fears, and who, if I have a fear about something, then I'm like, that's not your true wish, because for your truest wishes, you've always been very confident. Anyway, coming back to the story of, like, I used to always think about like changing this college and whatever. And while I was at the previous college, I would, every morning when I would go to class, I would listen to music, and naturally all these visuals would come to my mind that, oh, I'm in this new city, I'm going to college in my, driving my car, and like all of that stuff. And again, I have not put this thought in my head that I'm driving this car and going. This, all of these visuals have just come to me, and it would feel good. So I would just, keep at it, keep with it. And like clockwork, like every day when I would walk to the class, like I would listen to that music, that visual would come, I would feel so great. I would feel like, oh, I'm there in the moment and everything. And yeah, and then my day would go so well. And for some people as well, like there would be days or times where these kinds of visuals might not come to you. You might have to consciously create a visual for yourself to feel good about and to feel good with. But thankfully for me, it came very naturally. So that's it. I mean, so I would get this visual, and then I told like my dad that, okay, I want to change the college and everything. And I did change the college and everything. Again, like, not planning, not doing anything. And then, like, we are a joint family. And then my dad decided that we, like, all of my dad and my uncles decided that we are going to buy a house here in Ahmedabad. And so I used to live here. So then it became like, okay, it was like an home away from home. So then they were buying it anyway because everyone would keep coming and all. And so it became like a thing where, oh, it got like, I didn't even had to do anything about it. And I got to live that dream of living alone and everything. And one fine day, I remember while going to college, like, so there's this friend of mine, we used to alternate taking our vehicles to college. And at that time, I used to have a two-wheeler, Activa. And so we used to like alternate between the two of us. She would come to my house, and then we would go together. Like one vehicle we would park at my house, and then we would go together. So every day we would alternate. Once we would take her vehicle, once we would take my vehicle. When we were coming back from college, like two guys came on a bike, and this was on the highway. And they come on a bike, and I'm sitting in the back, and my friend is driving this two wheeler, and this guy just hits me very hard on my head like that, like really badly. That the the we both got shook, like, and could have lost our balance or something. Thankfully, it was an empty road. If we fell down, no car would go over us. But it was a very scary moment that happened. Maybe they were trying to like steal, like, those people who snatch chains or like jewelry off people when they're driving. So maybe they were those kind of people. And I happened to tell this incident to my dad, and he got so scared. He's like, okay, no more going on an Activa to college or something. You're not going to go. And he was like, okay, I'm going to buy you a car because that's safer, and you need to be safe. And because you travel through a highway, so it could be even more dangerous to go on a two wheeler. And just like that, like he bought me the car, and that visual came true. The visual that I used to see in my previous college, that, oh, I'm in this car and I'm driving and, like, going to college, and all of that came true. I didn't, now when I look back and think about it, I didn't have much to do with it. I was not sitting and consciously thinking, ki, when will this happen? When will that happen? I just knew that's going to happen, but it just happened on its own. It just happened without me being very what do you say, like, without me being very very desperate about it, or very very like wanting it so badly, in need about it, in need for it. And there are several of such examples where I've thought about something, and like I said, it would come very naturally for me to feel that, oh, I already have it, because why not? I always thought, uh, and I do think, and I do believe that, yeah, God has blessed me with a really good life, and uh, I have no reason not to doubt that He will not give me the best. There is no reason at all. So There are plenty of such examples that I can give where I have not consciously sat and wanted things. I've just like desired and wished for them. And there have been certain actions that I've taken because of which I opened the ways for it to come into my life, for sure. I will not deny that because you have to do that. Uh, Say, for example, if I hadn't changed my college and come to another college in Ahmedabad, then none of this would have happened. So I feel like the biggest, most important thing is you have to make a way and then let it come to you. One of the other things that I would like to talk about from this story is that I think of it now. That so my dad bought me a very like normal, simple, basic car, and it was nice. It was nothing fancy, but it was like a really nice car also. So now when I think about it, I was like, wait a minute. Had I thought about a particular car, he would have gotten me that as well. So I think those are the lessons that I've learned slowly. One of which being that clarity with desire, like asking for something with clarity, having a desire, but being very clear about how you want that desire, what you want it to be, makes a world of difference, like a world of difference. If you just randomly ask something, yeah, you might get it. But you have a chance. Like if you can ask for anything, why not ask for, you know, precisely design it and ask for something that you truly, truly want? And so, yeah, I feel like clarity is one of the biggest things in manifestation. I feel like people forget that. Just like once you need to, first, whenever you have a desire, you need to have clarity as to what you want and why you want it. The second thing is, of course, you have to feel it like it's yours and you're going to like get it in the future, or like you have to believe it that it's yours. Whether it comes in the future, whether it comes now or whenever, that's not important. But it's yours. You have to truly believe that. And the third thing is that, like I said, you have to open, once you've believed that, the most natural and organic way, or feeling, or step that comes to you very naturally towards that might not directly lead you to that, but is like a little, like one baby step towards that. You have to take that step at least, because if you don't take that baby step as well, then the door is closed. Then you have not made a way for it to come to you, which is a very, very important thing. Once you ask for it, have make a way. Like if you are expecting a guest at home, you will keep the door open, right? You will not keep the door closed. You will make sure you will do everything to make that guest feel welcome and call them and that what time are you reaching or whatever, but like you will keep that door open. So I feel like that's the third thing to do, that keep that way open. Take that first way to open that door and put yourself out there, and then leave the rest. Like then things will happen in a way that you can never imagine, you can never expect. And if you've done the two things very right, like you actually feel it, like you deserve it, and you'll have it, then it is going to come to you. And I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen many, many times. Again, one of the things that I would want to talk about is that once you have clarity, once you have a good desire and everything, it's very important that you also be okay with it, that if it does not come, because see, there's no time limit in it, so you have to be okay whenever it happens, or you have to be okay with that not happening as well. You can't be so attached to it. You can't be 24/7 thinking about it. If you're doing that, you're wrong. You're already like in a wrong headspace, in a wrong energy. Because somebody that knows, say for example, if you're gonna like take a flight tomorrow and go to Bombay or something, or maybe somewhere else, the whole night you're not going to be thinking, am I going to go? Am I going to go? How am I going to go? You have booked the ticket, you have done your bit, which is like booking the ticket, right? And now when the day comes, you are going to leave, you are going to pack, and you are going to reach and take that flight and reach where you're supposed to reach. So you're not panicking the whole time thinking that, oh, is this going to happen? No. So the same thing applies here as well. Once you've asked for something, think of it as buying a ticket to somewhere, you know, that, oh, at least I've bought the ticket. I have this desire. I'm asking for this. And now I bought the ticket. And now I'm going to take the smallest step that I can take that is required from my end to do it. And so on. Like, keep taking those small, small steps that feel right to you in the moment. And in no time, you wouldn't even know when you reach or when that thing came to you. Because, yeah, that's one of the things that people should keep in mind, that don't be too attached, don't be fearful about it. Again, I think one of the things that have started picking up is, I think these two things are very interconnected. One of the things is vision boards that people talk about a lot. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is a very personal observation or something of my own, but it is also connected to vision boards, clarity, all of it together. So I'll try to connect it well and, put it across. So, yeah, let's start from the vision boards, okay? Uh, so many people nowadays online are like, oh, let me teach you how to make a vision board and, this and that. And it's no big deal. You can make a vision board anytime, any day, whatever. It's not a big deal. But I feel like it should be taken very, very seriously. It shouldn't be just looked at as a trend. It's not just one it thing or something. Because those are the things that, if you are genuinely in that energy and in that energy space, you will attract those things to you. And so you want to be very, very careful that you're attracting the right things to you and not the wrong ones. Now, I'll tell you why I'm saying this is because that, like I said, I've always used this thing manifestation in my life without knowing that it's manifestation. But I've wished for some things. Like I said, I've always wished for things and I've always gotten it. But recently, I stopped wishing for anything because I think once or twice it happened where I wished and asked for something, and it did get manifested. It did become a reality, and in my life, it did come to me, and everything. But in the hindsight, I feel like I could have asked better, or maybe I could have asked with more clarity, which is the biggest thing I've learned, that asking with clarity and keeping the long term in mind, which again goes with the vision board thing as well, that which I'll come to later once I finish this point. That all these things, a few things that I asked for that came true. Now, when I think about it, I was like, this manifestation thing is bullshit. Like, I don't believe in it anymore because I'm like, if you're not careful, you will end up manifesting something that might not be good for you in the long run. It might be great for you in the short term, but might not be good for you in the long run. What I mean by that is that I manifested these things, they came true, and I realized that in the long run, they were not good for me, be it like anything, okay? And I got a little scared of it. I was like, damn, like, uh, you know, I feel like it led me to thinking so much deeper about these things. And I've also been hearing these two different points where one party or one side of the opinion is that you should ask for whatever you want, and all of that. And one side of the opinion is, if you ask for what you want, you might get it, but what if God has something bigger, greater for you that you're not even thinking of, you're not even asking of? Which is what I started thinking on a much deeper level, where I was like, huh, I had a feeling that it would have been something even better than what I wanted and what I asked for. Because I can just feel it, you can just feel these things. And you can just tell, like, and I have felt this feeling for a very, very long time, that now When someone says that, oh, manifest it, or you manifested this, or you manifest, in my mind, in my head, I'm in my heart, I'm laughing and I'm like, no, I'm not, falling for that now. There needs to be such a big responsibility and accountability when you are asking for something, you know, that it could go any way. It could go any which ways, and you have to be okay with it, right? Like for the past few years, I became like a little fearful that I don't have a doubt that if I ask God for something, He will not give me. But my fear is, what if He does? Like, what if He actually gives it to me? And what if I don't like it? Because it's happened with me before. I've asked for these things, He's given it to me. After a while, I'm like, I don't like it. This is not for me. you know, you realize once you have it or whatever. And so I became fearful of that. I'm like, what if I don't ask the right thing? Even if I have the clarity, even if I have the desire, even if I have all the strategies and techniques that people talk about correctly in place, I have all of that in place. But what if I don't have the capacity to know what is right for me in the long term, which is the most important thing in the long term? I realized that all the things that I was asking were very short mindset from a very short term mindset and thinking, because of which when time went by, I felt like, oh my god, those those same things that I asked for, and I felt so good having them. Apart, like, so this is not for everything, but just a few exceptional big things or something, um, that I ended up getting those things, and I felt like I made a mistake. Like, what did I do? Why did I ask for this? But you can't do anything. You can't blame anyone because you are the one who asked for it. Because in real time, things take time. Once, if something you have wanted something and you've received it from God, but now you don't like it, it doesn't go away like that. You don't get it like that. It doesn't go away like that. It takes time. So even if you don't like it, now it's not going to go anywhere, and you're going to be miserable. You're going to have to stay with it. You're going to have to deal with it, experience it, and yeah, all of that stuff. Which I feel like no one talks about when they talk about vision boards, and people always talk about clarity, clarity, clarity. But it's the long term clarity that's what's most important when you talk about manifestation or vision boards. If you are thinking of making a vision board, I would highly, highly request you that sit down, take some time away from all of this noise that is there online about vision boards, about manifestation, and just ask yourself, what do I truly, truly want for my life, for myself, in the long term? In the long term. Not right now, not tomorrow, not this car, not that dress, but in the long term. What are the kind of people I want around me? What is the kind of house I want to live in? What are the kind of places I want to travel to? What are the experiences that I want to have in these places? How do I want to feel in the long term? Do I want to feel like happy? Do I want to feel content? Or do I want to feel like, oh, I showed this person this thing? Are you coming from a place of proving something to someone? Or are you coming from a place of doing something for your own self? Because you're just it the thing that matters to you most is how you live your life and what you want to do in your life, and not what someone else will say, and not what someone else will think. Because it's very easy to get affected by all these noises of people around us constantly telling us what should we want. So I'm here trying to tell you from my experience, because it can get lost in all this, that don't be in a hurry about making a vision board or manifesting something. Take as long as you want, and nobody needs to make a vision board every year, first of all. That's the biggest myth, that you need to make a vision board every year. You, okay, even if you do need to make a vision board every year, you need to have exact clarity that for that 1 year, 1 year is a very long time, you are not going to feel like, oh, I made a mistake by putting this on my vision board. Make a vision board every year. It's fine. Great. Nothing wrong in it. But be careful that, will I like this thing long term? Ask yourself these questions. How clear am I about this? How much clarity do I have about this while putting this on my vision board? Will I like this in the long term? Do I want this feeling in the long term? Is this feeling going to stay in the long term, and is the desire going to stay, or is it going to change with that feeling? I think these are the bigger, more important questions to ask yourself than just making a fancy reel on Instagram about taking a day off to make a vision board. Vision boards are not just about taking a day off and putting those pictures up in a scrapbooky type way on, on a piece of foam board. But it's so much more about like how you want to feel, what do you want to have, and overall in general, like how do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to look like? How do you want your life to feel like to yourself, not to anybody else? So I will just say that, yeah, just take that time, just sit with yourself, talk to yourself, try to find out how you've been feeling about certain things, how you might feel about them in the future. I'll tell you one thing, something that is good for you will always feel great. Something that is not good for you will come with fear. That is also one way to know. Sometimes your mind can also play tricks with you. Like, fear is not always wrong and not always good and not always bad. Sometimes fear can be stopping you from actually living that life you wanted, because now you've become skeptical, and so because of that also you might not ask for something or put something on your vision board. But I would just tell you that that fear comes from a very primal, thing in our brain, which is designed to keep us safe, which is designed to keep us um, you know in the known, and keep us in the safety and security, and fear, like it will come to the conclusions before you even have the answer. It will come to certainty before there is actually a certainty in the real life. That's fear's job. That's what it is going to do. And I know it's hard, even for me. Like even right now there are times when I'm like, even today itself, I'm saying this because today this point came to my mind. I was fearing something, and I was like, wait a minute, do you fear this because it's actually true? Which is not, like, it's not, you don't even know if it's actually true for you to fear it, you know you're and but I was like, oh, but I get this feeling. And then I was like, your mind needs to give you that feeling, because your mind is designed to keep you in a safe environment. So just because you don't have clarity about it, you don't even know, you know your mind will come up with a scenario and a story to make you believe that why it's not good, even though you don't know in the moment, you know so it's very tricky. And you have to, the only thing you can do is you can just take time to figure these things out, sit with yourself and understand where certain things might be coming from. Like I said, fear sometimes comes from a place of keeping you safe. Sometimes it comes from a genuine place of that, yeah, it might genuinely, that thing might not be good for you. And that could also be a fear, which becomes an instinct and an intuition. So, yeah, I feel like these are the very important things to keep in mind when it comes to vision boards and manifestation. And there are so many techniques that people also follow, which is like you have to visualize. And but I also feel all these techniques that people have put out online, which is like some of them being visualization, scripting, writing, all of that stuff. And there's plenty of these techniques that people talk about online. I feel like those techniques will not feel like techniques if you already have that emotion and you feel that what you're asking for, you have it, you're going to get it. There's no doubt. There's no doubt at all. When there's no doubt, these all these tech things will not feel like, oh, you're trying to follow a strategy and a technique to manifest something in your life. It will feel like a very natural, organic way of being. That's it. Nothing else. Other thing that I just mentioned, which connects me to my previous point as well, but I feel like it's important to mention this, which is doubt. Like, and I think it's the whole thing is very interconnected. The doubt is very interconnected to the fear. The fears, it's very interconnected to clarity and all of that stuff. But I feel like it's not your job to think when something is going to manifest for you, because sometimes things can take time and you can sit there thinking like, or you can start doubting, and you'd be like, oh, all this while, there's some people who might think that, oh, all this while I've been believing in it, I've been like feeling it like I have it, but then it's still not happening, so then now I'm starting to have these doubts about it. To that I would just say that then comes the most important thing. If you are starting to have doubt and everything, I think that is also a sign of letting it go, letting that desire go from needing it too much, or like from your conscious mind too much, and just let it be in your subconscious mind that, oh, yeah, I've desired this, I've asked for it, and I'm going to get it someday. But just let it go. I have seen, um, so I'll give you a very nice example of this thing, right? Very recent as well. I actually have this folder on my phone on Instagram, where you can save these photos and everything. And the folder is called podcast guests. So I have all these guests that I want to have on my podcast are there on this in this folder where I've saved them. And there was this one particular guest, whom I interviewed just yesterday. She's very, very, very amazing. And um, I don't know if this is going to come first or that episode is going to come first. But if that episode comes later, I'll edit the guest name. But yeah, and she's the founder of Interflora, Anuja Joshi. And I had her on my podcast guest folder, right? When I initially came across her and everything, I was like, oh, but how will I, reach to her? I found ways that there was no email ID that I could reach her on or anything. And so I just let it go. She just was there on my podcast guest folder. That's it. There's no way for me to reach her. I don't know like anything. So I just very normally I gave it up. I let it go. I surrendered. I left it there. That's it. Not thinking that, oh, it might not happen. Nothing like that. I just let it be in my folder. That's it. There was no negative thought that I had about it or anything. And very funnily, a few months back, like I think in the beginning of this year, one of their team members or somebody might have seen an episode of of me with a guest that I did, which a lot of people liked. And uh, and then I received an email from them saying that, oh, we love your podcast, we would love our founder to be featured on your podcast because we believe in what you do, and we believe that how you do it, and we believe that it's great, the quality that you offer and the way, the line of questioning you have and everything. And it was so surreal for a moment. Like, for a moment I didn't even believe it. Like, I didn't, not about believing in it, but I just sat there and I was like, huh, so this happened. And then after a moment, it occurred to me that, hey, wait a minute. I have her on my guests folder. Like, and I was like, I've always wanted to have her. But then it took me 2 seconds, 2 minutes to realize that, oh my God, I have her on my guests folder, podcast guests folder. And I immediately opened my phone. I went to that folder and I saw her picture. And I was like, damn, it's real. This is real now. And I saw the email and I replied to the email, and it took some time for us to schedule the interview because of the schedule of both of us and everything. But but great. Like, I just shot an episode with her yesterday and it was amazing. I did reach out to them, and there was this one time where things were looking like, oh, they might, come to fruition, but they get stuck midway. And but in that moment, I feel like I just let it go. I didn't question कि maybe ये नहीं होगा. Yeah, this is not going to happen. Like I said, I don't think I've ever thought about things like that ever. I think out of fear, sometimes forcefully, like I said, your brain wants you to be safe and wants to create an environment for you of safety and keep you safe. That comes from a very primitive place of, hunter gatherers time and all of that. But apart from that, I don't think I've ever had that thing. Maybe it's not going to happen for me. Maybe this thing is not going to be possible for me. Like human beings, we might have that thought once, but that core belief is not. That's not the core belief that I have about. The core belief is I have it and I will get whatever I want. And I don't have to think about it, how it's going to come to me. I don't have to think about whether it is going to come to me. I don't have to doubt it. The only thing I tell myself is that just be clear that if you get this thing, that you're okay with it in the long term, in the long run. And not that you just want it just for fun right now, just to feel good right now. That's the only thing I tell myself. Then I let it be. I got into, I started getting busy into my own other work and everything. So I just left it. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And when I left it, when I just let it be without any fear attached to it or anything, one fine day, after I got back from my birthday weekend and I had like a really good trip, I opened my laptop because I wasn't carrying my laptop that weekend. I open my laptop and the first message that I see is, hey, let me know if, this date works for you to schedule the podcast interview. And I was like, wow, when I just let it be, I just got busy doing my own things. When it was, sometimes I feel like God tests you also. Like, do you trust me that you will get it? Do you trust me even if you have roadblocks that you will get it? Even if right now it doesn't seem like you will get it, but do you still trust me that you will get it? That's what I think has also happened like multiple times for me. But to that, I think if I had to tell God, I would say that I've never doubted even for a second. So, yeah, that's one message for God from me. This is just one of the incidents where you're like, okay, if you let it go, it comes to you. But I have experienced this multiple times that you have to do all of this. First of all, no, you have to have a desire that you want something for the long term. Okay. Then you have to have clarity that you will like this desire for the long term and then how you want it and why you want it and all of that stuff, The second thing is the third step is you have to make a way, you have to take a step and open that way for it to come to you. The fourth thing that I talked about is, making a vision board and everything. Finally, once you have all these things and not fearing, not doubting when it does not come to you. And the last and the most important step is letting it go from your mind and believing that if you truly, truly want it and if you've truly, genuinely asked for it and you deserve it and all of that. Like that's I think the last step where God tests your patience and faith and everything. And that step, if you survive, and if you do all the other steps correctly, I think only then you reach the last step. But once you've reached the last step, I think you have to truly, truly, stick to it and hold on to it. Like it's very contradictory though, right? That you have to give up and hold on to it at the same time believing. Like that's faith. That holding on part is the faith part. That yeah, I'm letting it go because I keep this faith with me. I'm not expecting, I'm not hoping, I'm not desperately trying to ask for it or anything. I have faith that if God truly wants to give me this, He will give me. But for now, I've done everything, all that I could do, all that I needed to do, and now I let it go. And trust me, truly, if you do all of this right, correctly, and you come from a very pure, genuine, nice, and true place, an honest place from your heart, and do these things and ask for these things, or ask for whatever you're asking for from a very from a lot of honesty in you, it will happen for you. Just make sure that you like it. You will not hate it when it happens for you. That's one of the biggest things that you have to do. God might give you. There's a saying, there's an English saying, which I think about a lot. More than manifestation, I think about this now, which is like, be careful what you wish for. It might actually come true. So, yeah, I'll just leave you guys at that. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of, this very hot topic right now, which is manifestation and vision boards and everything. Um, do let me know what you think about whatever I just shared, about the thought process and the point of view that I shared with you about how I look at it, all of this. And yeah, do share with me if you have made any vision boards, if you have any stories related to manifestation, vision boards, good, bad, something that you liked, something that you didn't like, and all of that stuff. Do share in the comments below. I would love to read them, I would love to reply to them. And yeah, until next time, I will see you guys in the next episode.